Following the success of my debut calendar last year, I've been working tremendously hard to try and surpass it with the follow-up. So I'm really pleased to finally announce that my 2020 calendar is now complete and available via my website. Details for this are on screen right now. I'm massively proud how it's turned out. But in this video, I wanted to take you all on a bit of a photographic journey across all the calendar images and through the seasons. My 2020 calendar journey actually started about a year ago. So get a cuppa, sit back and enjoy. Right, the pressure's on. We're definitely going to get sunset. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And it's probably going to happen in about half an hour's time. So the pressure is on now. I need to find a composition. So I'm going to put the vlogging camera down now, run around like a headless chicken and try and lock down a composition before my time runs out. Somewhere and try and shoot from there. This is just absolutely ridiculous. I've got the long lens on, and what I'm focusing in here is for the end of the pier right there. Now the end of that pier has been absolutely battered by these giant waves as they slam right against it. So you're getting really nice waves kind of breaking over the top of the pier, and with a telephoto you can zoom right into that. Also, we've got nice side lighting coming in occasionally that's actually adding rainbows right across the actual composition. So that's kind of almost the cherry on top of the scene here. I think it adds a real nice touch. Landscape compositions can actually work here, but you've got to get much closer into the waterfall in order to get that low kind of angle to kind of look up and fit it all in. And that comes with its own challenges because it's kind of raining on and off today, but also the closer you get to that waterfall, the more your lens picks up moisture from it. And it's been very frustrating. I've been trying really hard to get a landscape shot, but it hasn't quite come together at the moment. The circular polarizer on the front is just collecting so much moisture that I cannot get rid of it as fast as it actually comes. And even if you do manage to get rid of it, what you get is you get kind of like a misty kind of effect, because obviously I'm not properly drying the actual front of the filter, so it's retaining that bit of moisture, and it's just creating like a cloudy kind of effect to the shot. So that's not working at all. So I'm going to ditch the circular polarizer altogether because it's a bigger surface area, so it's going to pick up more moisture, and I'm just going to shoot just with the lens, no filters, and hopefully that should make it a little bit easier to achieve the shot here. It's an absolutely perfect night for astrophotography. You'll have to take my word for it. It's crystal clear, not a cloud to be seen in the sky, and it's actually quite a warm winter's night really, and there's not a breath of wind there at all. So I've come down to a plantation in the south of the island, and I've walked into the middle of the plantation, and just behind me there's actually a pond. I don't know if you can hear the running water. But this little pond here is actually surrounded by trees. So I've got a feeling that these trees are going to silhouette beautifully against the night sky, but also will be reflected in the waters of the pond. But not only that, because there's absolutely no wind at all today, I think the stars are also going to be captured in the mirror-like surface of that pond. So I think this has got all the ingredients for an absolute winning astrophotography image. I was just about to leave, but I've spotted a second composition which I believe could be even better. Now, if you see this cascade here, that wasn't actually properly formed when I first arrived at this scene, but with all the heavy rain that we've been having, it's obviously overflowed into this part of the waterfall that only shows itself during bad weather like this. And there's a lot more fine detail in this waterfall. It's nothing like the raging kind of waterfall that I was shooting at back there. This is a lot more delicate, and I think it's really, really eye-catching. It's kind of an even kind of curtain of water kind of cascading down this flat rock. So I have set up my tripod right there, super, super low to the water. And what I'm trying to get here is, again, I'm shooting across the cascade of water, but I really want to try and capture as much of the actual cascade meeting the actual pool below it, because I think that's really quite nice, and the kind of the defining line between the cascade and the pool works quite nicely within the actual composition. Also, the water kind of flowing off that way. Oh, I'm getting confused here. There's nice kind of like swirls and kind of bubbles. I don't know if you can see them. They're kind of out here. They're kind of like swirling round, so kind of to the right of the composition there's a little bit of interest there as well. And then of course in the backdrop, the spooky, beautiful tree absolutely dominates. So again, I think this is a really, really nice composition here. I found another composition, and if I do say so myself, it's absolutely incredible. This is a shot that I've dreamed about for years. Honestly, I've dreamed about getting a shot like this for years, and I can't believe that it's finally happened. So behind me, you probably won't be able to see it very well, but there's a little lighthouse here, and it's kind of like a sister lighthouse, a small sister lighthouse to the main lighthouse. The lighthouse kind of sits alone on this shingle beach, but right behind it, you've just got these shimmering bands of night shining clouds, and it's just absolutely spectacular. It really is. Composition wise, I've just put the lighthouse bang centre, and I'm kind of on a sort of slight grassy bank overlooking the shingle beach, and what this allows me to do is gain a little bit of height, which kind of reveals the sea behind the lighthouse, and then you can kind of see Scotland kind of right off in the distance on the horizon line, and then these beautiful clouds just shimmering in the dark above there. It's just absolutely exquisite. With this river here, I think the key is the height that you take the image. If you take it too high like this, it's not particularly very interesting. The scene is still kind of feeling a little bit lackluster and empty. So I think the key here is to get nice and low And that's exactly what I've done with my tripod here. A little bit of tripod yoga going on here. I've effectively taken out the center pole of the tripod and reversed it so it points down, and then attached my camera via the L bracket right to the bottom. I feel a little bit nervous doing this, but it allows me to get super close to the water surface. I mean, if you look at that, it's probably about 20 centimeters away from the water surface, which is pretty damn close really. What that enables me to do is absolutely fill my foreground with this racing water as it glides over the actual pebbles and rocks going down the shore, and that adds some much needed interest into this foreground, which on a beach like this is really quite hard to come by. There's not much going on here. But what's also really interesting this time of year, around kind of late June, the sun here pretty much sets bang center in this river as it races off to the sea. So there's kind of a nice sort of minimalistic composition ready to be shot here, where I position the sun bang center in the middle of this river, dominate my foreground with the rippling water as it goes over the pebbles, and that's about it. Now, I don't actually have any vlog footage for August, but here's the calendar image I did select. This was taken at Milner's Tower, which is a famous landmark on the Isle of Man, and for me, it's the perfect August image. The sky is absolutely kicking off behind me. It's glorious, but it's all unfolding a lot quicker than I anticipated, so I'm not going to have very much time here at all. In this current location, I'm kind of devoid of interesting foregrounds. It's like the tide is too far out. I was anticipating nice rocks and stuff that I could base my foreground compositions on, but they're just not here. But what I do have is this seaweed down and along this area here, and I'm going to see if I can work that into my foreground. But I'm going to have to get a move on, because a sky like that is not going to linger and not going to give me very much time at all. I've just walked a little bit further downstream, and I believe I have found the composition that I was looking for, that's got all of those autumn ingredients that I was looking for. So you can see my camera is just set up here on this rock here, and what's really caught my eye is, if you look just behind the camera, you can see that there's this big rock to the side of the river, and it's plastered in absolutely gorgeous yellow, orange leaves. And it just makes for a fantastic foreground. And just to the side of it, you've got this beautiful little waterfall as well. So I think the combination of those leaves on this rock with that waterfall really makes for a really strong foreground. But this shot has got so much more going for it. Behind you've got the leading line of the river leading you back through the image. Also, really interestingly, if you look just up there, you can see these lovely golden kind of colours in the leaves, and they're backlit by the sun, which is creating a really, really nice effect. And the contrast of that with the sort of dark area of the image here works really, really nice for the background as well. So I'm really quite impressed by this composition, and I feel quite optimistic about it. We have a moon, and it was absolutely stunning. It really, really was. I've never actually properly watched a moonrise, believe it or not, and it was amazing. It was so magical. it was in some ways better than a sunrise in a weird kind of way. I just found it so peaceful and relaxing and just utterly beautiful. The hues of that moon when it actually crept above the horizon was such a fiery yellow. I couldn't quite believe the colour of it. It's still retaining a little bit of that sort of colour now, but arguably the best is gone. The best of that moonlight is now behind us, but I think I managed to get my shots. The composition isn't 100% perfect, but I genuinely believe it's probably the best that I could have got at this location given the tide situation. I found my first composition as well. You can see my camera set up just behind me. And what I'm interested in here are these mountains here. So I've got Snaefell, the highest mountain on the Isle of Man, and just to the right of it is North Brew, the second highest mountain on the Isle of Man. And the sun is rising out of that direction, which means these mountain summits are going to catch the light as it arrives over the horizon. I think it's going to be absolutely beautiful. But then in the foreground, I've also got these rocks here that are covered in a lovely coating of snow, and I think that's going to work really well for foreground. So I think overall there's a nice balanced composition here with a lot going on in the foreground and the background to add a lot of interest right throughout the scene. And I think it's going to look absolutely stunning when this sun illuminates it, which is going to happen imminently, probably in the next minute or two. So I better put the camera down. I hope you enjoyed that journey through my calendar, and it's given you a bit of an insight into the huge amount of work that's gone into it. I've tried to price my calendar as competitively as I can to try and make it accessible to all. You can get yours by going to jamesbrew.com/shop or click on the links provided on screen or down in the description. But that's about it for today. Thanks very much for watching. I guess it's time to start work on the 2021 calendar now.